fatal heart impacts, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful laws and pass. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember you're discreet now, get ready for defeat now.
We currently have Izuku Midoriya standing there, a square object in his hand covered in blood, as Deku stands over his mother's corpse. He steps backwards, scared. As he does so, he almost trips over the zombie in the room, with the sword impaled on it. Deku quickly turns to it. He knows what he has to do. After the duty is done, he runs into the bathroom, where Deku just stares down at his hands while trying to wash them in the mirror. Deku looks up and he sees his face. His face is melting. Half of his lips have been bitten off. He can see his teeth. He can see his eyes starting to go pale. Deku pulls out his handgun. He goes to put the gun up to his chin, and he hesitates before a gunshot can be heard. And Deku wakes up. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed the intro. Now, with that being said, welcome back to this one. Now, the response I've gotten from this series is actually a lot different from what I did expect. And I'm actually really glad you guys are enjoying it. Now then, with that being said, let us jump right back to it. Deku, he jumps up awake in a cold sweat. And he does just try to think. He keeps having that dream over and over and over again. It keeps startling him. He can't sleep properly because of it. And Deku, he's just wondering, as he does get up and start to walk around the manor. This place is huge, and from what he can understand, there's too much ground here to really cover. This place is a fortress. It has fortified walls of metal and stone. It's got a lot of property, or at least landmass that you have. The sprinkler systems, they do work, so they can water farms that you try to make. And it seems like it would be the perfect place. However, there's a problem. Exactly how long will that water last? And exactly how long will those walls stay up? A zombie with super strength was able to rip through a door and nearly get into the same room they were. They got lucky with the fact that there was something there to slow it down. However, out here in a wide open area, a zombie with speed like Ingenium. They saw that thing blitz military personnel before eating a guy's face. A guy literally had to take a shotgun and blast through his armor in order just to slow him down. So what would happen if they encountered something stronger than that? Now, Deku, he's worrying about too many possibilities. And as he is thinking that, he does actually go to step outside and sit down, as he's enjoying some coffee with the sunrise. And he's just trying to think. They remember the streets they took to get here. And Deku, he does at least remember something interesting. If he remembers correctly, there should be a store somewhere. If they can find a store that at least sells hero equipment, or let's just say, well, quirk equipment, Deku, they might be able to make something out of it. Now, Deku wonders about this. If they can use support gear in practical uses every day, like the pro heroes, could they survive? It's an idea Deku has thought about before. And even then, There's even other ideas Deku has thought about. Now, as that's being said, we do actually cut to about an hour later, where people they're actually looking for Deku and they do come outside. As they do look around and at least see Deku's cup of coffee. As whenever you do look down at it, it at least does either have some milk or creamer in it, and it's just about gone cold. Now, we do currently have Deku, who, for the time being, has been training. And he's been running around the property to test up or at least train up his stamina. Along with that, he's just been doing his regular exercises. Now, Deku, he's even thought about adding stuff onto it. If they need to survive, they need to be strong. And he understands that part. But does everyone else? People are looking to him for guidance. They're looking to him as if he's their leader. And honestly, he doesn't know if he can be their leader. He's not used to being in the spot like this. He's used to just being to the sidelines. He's not, well, someone you put your attention to. He's not used to this. Now, Deku, whenever he does actually round the corner and go to actually sit down as everyone is staying there, they all do see him. And they do ask about exactly why he's been up this early. Couldn't sleep. Don't worry about it. Anyways, Kendo and who else wanted to come with me? I know she wanted to go by somewhere. Now, the attention does quickly get turned to Kendo. As everyone, they do start to look in her direction. Now, you do actually have Mei, who she talks about how she does at least want to try to salvage a few things and get started on some of the equipment Deku's talking about that they would actually need. And this is actually just it. Some of them, they're kind of hesitant. They found a place with walls. And as long as they're here and they're not too loud, zombies should not come here. Now, everyone, they do just look around at each other, as if they're back in the car with the whole key situation. It's the loaded gun situation all over again. Will they possibly die if they go back out there? Now, everyone, they're kind of scared. And Deku, he can actually see that. As Deku, he does see as Kirishima, he does go to take a deep breath for a second before he actually does at least try to put some effort in his voice. I'll go. Alright. So, who else? Now, everyone, they do quickly fall silent again. And Kirishima's bravado does quickly actually fade. Deku wants to take more people out there? Won't a larger group be bad? That's the internal monologue he does have. And Deku, after getting no takers, he does actually at least talk to somebody about the keys. As they do hand them over to him, and Deku, he does walk inside really quickly. As Deku does shower and then go to change. Now then, that took probably about 30 minutes, so we do actually currently have, let's say, sunrise is at 6:30 now, because of daylight savings. Let's say 30 minutes, so somewhere around 7 to probably even later than that, 7:30. As we do actually where Deku, he's walking down the hallway after getting changed. And he does actually see Momo trying to stand near the door and mess with something. As Deku is walking by, he does actually see Momo as she does turn and see him. Her actually going to bring something behind her back, and she does ask Deku where he's exactly going. Huh? I'm leaving. What are you doing though? Oh, this. Don't worry about it. Are you sure? That door's locked. Yeah, I know. Deku actually going to look at the door. As he does see scratch marks on it, around the keyhole, and he does look down. He can tell that Momoshi may have tried to clean it, but there's still at least faint blood stains on the door and on the ground. Momo, I don't think opening that door would be the best option. I have to. Why? It's my father's study. It's the last door in the manor that's locked or we haven't tried to get into yet. We know already that the basement's clear, the wine cellar's clear, most of the food we have here, it is safe to consume. But from what you're talking about, we need to know everything about this place. I don't want to open this door up and, you know, get caught by something. But at the same time, I don't want something breaking out of this room. I get it. But if you're going to be doing this, don't do it alone, alright? Now, Deku, he does go to hand over the gun he does at least carry on him. And Momo, she's kind of confused as Deku just tells her that he'll go grab one of the other ones. They're leaving, so they already need them. As long as they do keep one here, then they'll be safe. They'll be able to defend themselves. Now, as that was said, we do have where Deku, he does go to leave. And Momo, she's just standing there holding the gun in her hand. It's the first time she's held something so light but so heavy. And she tries to at least think about this weapon. This thing has the capacity to take a life if you pull the trigger and aim it at something. But you have to want to kill it for it to do that. It's, well, as I did say, heavier than it looks. Now, as everyone they do pile into the car, they do go to leave, taking some roads to get there, and stopping along the way. This being where Deku, whenever they do actually get into the neighborhood where Kendo's house would be, they do actually find that there are some cars piled along the edges of the road. And, well, there's a fire not too far away. And this does actually somewhat concern Deku. They took the radio from the military guys, and right now they're not in the sector of town. From what they've at least tried to piece together about it, or at least somewhat study about it, these guys go from section to section to try and take out the zombies. But ultimately they do fail. They have to be close to retreating at some time, right? They can't be this stupid. Now, that's what Deku he does think. As whenever they do get out, Deku does talk about how he and Kendo can go on from here. Those two need to stay with the vehicle, and at least if something does happen, give them a warning. This being where Deku, him, and Kendo do go into the neighborhood, hopping over some of the collapsed cars and starting to at least look around. Right now, it doesn't seem like there's zombies here, which is somewhat of a surprise. The cars behind them, they're flipped on their side, and people can't do that. So, Deku just thinks he does actually bring his hand out and touch the bottom of this vehicle, feeling the rust on his hand. This has got to be the work of a quirk. At least that's what Deku he does think. Now, Deku he does gonna do one thing as he does look around. Him stepping forwards as Kendo does just look at Deku. And Deku currently, he does see nothing. There are zombies here, but they're all standing around and not doing anything. And it's kind of refreshing. Kendo actually starting to catch up with Deku, as she is actually somewhat step forwards a bit harder to run a little bit, she does actually catch a bit of attention. A zombie in front of them turning its head as Deku he immediately does go to bring up the sword in his hand. And as soon as the zombie does start to shamble towards them, Deku he immediately does go to slice it as hard as he can as if he's swinging a baseball bat. And he does slice into the zombie's head and skull. Now, after the zombie basically does feel like it's going limp, Deku he does be careful, as he's trying to put weight up on the sword and make sure the zombies doesn't fall hard onto the ground. Now, Deku and her quickly make their way to the house, as they do take out, let's say, a couple zombies along the way. And, well, Kenoshi just stand there, holding up the house key as she's going to slip it into the door and unlock it, before she's going to open it and quickly walk inside. Deku going to do the same thing. If the door was locked, that means that this place has to be safe, right? Or at least not a lot of zombies. Now, Deku, it sounds bad, but that's exactly what he does think. Them both walking in and closing the door behind them, as Kenoshi has quickly start to look around and see if there's anybody here. And she does find nobody. At least not in the living room or the front part of their house. Her running around the bottom level and asking exactly if Dad is here. As we do actually have Deku with his walkie-talkie. They picked it up from one of the other military guys. They're lucky they took more than one this time. As Deku, he does actually hear Kirishima's voice on the other end. Deku actually going to bring up his hand and going to press down the button on the side. Yeah, we're here. Hey, how long do you think this is going to take? I don't know. Just keep one of the walkie-talkies on your side on the other channel, okay? We need to find out if those guys are coming back. Yeah, alright. But still, what are these guys thinking? That tank outside the city was still flipped. What could have flipped a tank like that? I can think of a few things, actually. You can? Oh, I can only think of one. I know. That's our biggest problem. If we run into him, we'll die. He'll tear us to shreds like we're nothing. Crumple us to dust. That's the biggest problem here. That's where we need to be careful, okay? Listen. If you guys hear something, make sure you're safe. Most of the zombies around here seem to respond to sound. So make sure you're just quiet, okay? Yeah, we got it. Now, these two are both sitting in a vehicle. As Kirishima and Mei, they do try to somewhat talk to each other. However, Mei, she doesn't really seem all that much of a people person. And there is where Deku and Kendo, they do eventually find her father. And Kendo, she was somewhat horrified by what she could see, as his father was there. He was in her bathroom, and he was being eaten by a zombie. Now, Kendo, she was very horrified, and whenever she'd go to scream loud, Deku actually would have to cover her mouth. As she actually just looked towards Deku, and Deku, he does just go to hold up his sword, telling her that screaming isn't good. Now, Kendo, she has actually go to jolt Deku in the side with her elbow, as she has going to grab the sword and directly charge forwards. As soon as the zombie does actually hear and see her, it does go to turn, as Kendo, she does go to slash it and take off its head. Now, Deku, he does hear that sound. The head smack against the wall before landing on the ground. And Kendo, she just does go crazy on it, slamming the sword down over and over again into this thing's head and body, as she does inspect the damage done to her dad. And it does seem all bad, as she does look at the man she calls her father. He's got a majority of the right side of his body eaten. Part of his arm part of his side and the area around his upper thigh. Whatever this thing did to him, it's, well, why? How? How did it do this? How did it even get inside? This being what she does try to think. And then there's actually Deku. From what he could see on this infected guy, let's just say, is there's a bite mark down on his wrist. And he's guessing that he probably tried to use his quirk to defend himself. Something like that. Or he may just have a useless mutation. He can't really see this guy's body too well. It's too melted. Now, Deku, he actually does walk up to Kendo. And he does think about it. As he does gonna bend down and try to reach out to put a hand on her shoulder, there actually is where her dad does suddenly lunge forwards and towards Kendo. As in that moment, he immediately is gonna push her down to the ground and try to bite her, and using his left arm, he does try to attack. As Kendo, she immediately does gonna try and pull back her hand, as Deku does yell not to use her quirk. And Kendo, she immediately does try to think, trying to push her dad over on the side where he has most of the damage. Now, as soon as Deku actually jumped backwards, he did go to grab the other knife he did have. Deku pulling it and stepping forwards, he does directly to stab the knife right in the back of Kendo's father. Right in the back of the neck and, well, directly in the top of the spine. As the way Deku did slice it, he didn't go in with the bone. He went to the side and turning it down. As the zombie, it does suddenly just stop moving. It still is trying to, well, bite and do that, but other than that, she should be okay. Now, the zombie, as it is go limp, suddenly would fall on her. And Deku does quickly try to grab the zombie by the head, as he does try to lift it up. Now, as soon as that actually does happen, Deku, he does watch as she does try to slide out from underneath her dad. And, well, she's got some blood on her now. As she also at least does have some scratches. And Deku does ask her if she's okay, as Kendo just go look at her arm. And Deku, yeah. He does see her right hand. The area right by her little finger and the other finger right there, there are actually some teeth marks, meaning that he did get her. And Deku, he's trying to think, as Kendo she does just stare down her hand. Her stepping forwards and towards Deku, asking exactly if she's going to be okay. What are the rules to this? Her trying not to freak out. As Deku, he does look directly at her and going to do one thing. He grabs her by her face and tells her that she's going to be alright. And that she has to use her quirk to turn, remember? I know, but what if I turn? I don't want to be like him. I don't want to turn out like him. Kendo. Her looking back at Deku. Listen to me. If you used your quirk right then and there, you would have been infected. Okay? Do you understand me? I just... My dad. I know. Listen. Calm the fuck down, okay? Now, Kendo and Deku, they're both being a bit too loud. As on the radio, Deku, he does hear Kirishima talk about how something's coming their way. And they need to get out of here now. As Deku, he does actually go to bring up the radio and ask Kirishima exactly what is he talking about. As Kirishima does talk about how on radio chatter, the guys are about to head through this area in, well, a minute or so. They need to move now. And they're actually just Deku who does try and think. If they try and get out of this house now, they're going to alert too many zombies. And it takes 5 minutes to walk back to the truck. And if they run, they'll attract more attention. You guys get out of here. What? What about you guys? Listen, there's too many zombies here, okay? That being what Deku does think, as he does walk downstairs and quickly go out the back door. Deku looking over the wall and trying to think. As Deku does quickly step forwards into the front of the house. As Deku does look around and see that more zombies are actually moving. As Deku does tell Kirishima that he needs to get out of here now with Mei. What are you talking about? We were being too loud earlier. Zombies are moving towards our direction. Listen, there's a wall here. We'll be fine. Just get out of here and come back. Just let us know whenever you're within range. Now, Kirishima, he does understand, as it's painful for him, but he does quickly move the car. As Deku can hear the engine start, and it quickly go to drive away. Now, this is where him and Kendo are both stuck in the house. There's a metal gate, and well, yeah. Everything else there. They should have food, they should have water, and they should be okay. As Deku, he does try to at least help Kendo get patched up. And try to calm her down. As she's still kind of crying. Now, as Kendo is crying after being patched up, she doesn't immediately go to jump up. As she does hug Deku in her bloodstained clothes. And she does just ask him if everything's going to be okay. If they're really safe here and if they're really going to survive. As Deku, he does try to think about that for a second. And that silence, it does somewhat just scare Kendo. I'd like to think so. Why? This... I need to go get changed. Now, Kendo does leave to go change her clothes. As Deku, he does want to look around more. From what he understands, Kendo's dad's a mechanic. So, while she's doing that, he's gonna go look in the garage and see if he can find anything useful. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.